So guys, I thought I'd make a short video. Should be a short video, but you know me by now. We'll see. Just about tools I have around the workshop and what you should have in a workshop, really. What's useful and what isn't so useful. So I've emptied all the contents of the two bins I keep on my desk, and let's have a look. When I say bins, I mean these sort of things, like a plastic holder, yeah, not a waste bin. I have a big one and I have a small one on the desk, yeah. And my tools either live in one of those two bins right in front of me, or I have other tools that I keep on the shelf off to one side. So basically, the stuff that I'm grabbing most often goes in the small bin generally, unless it's too big to fit in there, of course. So yeah, let's see what we have. Let's start off with what we got on the desk. Let's start off with screwdrivers because they're kind of like in the middle, yeah. So I keep a variety of screwdrivers in the bins, but what I use most is this one, PZ2 posi drive, big chunky screwdriver. Use that a lot in the big bin. These two get used regularly. This is very small posi drive. Doesn't even say it's rubbed off. It's a small one, not very small, but it's small. Little 3mm by 7.5mm little flat blade. They get used a lot in the big bin, yeah. Other than that, this one is used quite a lot. Again, don't know the size, doesn't say. It's just small. It's just smaller than the big chunky one. That's all I can tell you. Yeah. So those are being used all the time. They're in the big bin. This one's supposed to be in the van. This is what I use when I'm down the car boot cell and want to open the computer up. That's why it wasn't in the van before. Other than that, yeah, little neon test screwdriver and another one. Don't really use them much. Maybe use this one for terminal blocks and such like. This is the one, by the way, I mentioned I got from the Chinese shop. If you saw the other video, and you're supposed to be able to touch this onto something live and it lights up, yeah. And on the packaging it said, warning, do not use as a screwdriver. Warning, the failure for the light to illuminate does not mean there's no voltage present. So basically they're telling you it's useless. It's not a screwdriver and it's not a tester. And then they call it it's called a neon mains tester screwdriver. Go figure that one. Big tub. These are just lying around. Very rarely get used. Little posi drive type screwdrivers, but I'll show you in a minute why these don't get used much. Yeah, sometimes. Not posi drive, sorry. They're like little star drive. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm opening stuff up and I need one of them. Big tub. Don't know why I keep this in there. Little. Oh, it's for some sort of like security screw, but I'm not sure I ever use it. Big tub. Tiny little one. You should think that's really useful, but can't remember if I've ever used it. Big tub. So that's screwdrivers. Next one is cutters. I have a whole variety of cutters here, and you've probably seen me using these. These are my good cutters, but they're now getting a little bit blunt on the end, so I will order myself some more of these. You really need to keep at least one pair of these in good condition all the time, yeah. And these are getting towards the end of the life now, so I'll also order some more. But that's usually in the small tub because that gets used a lot. These are older ones, same sort of thing. You probably saw me using this if you watched the PCIe removal video. These are worn out, but they're useful for ripping things apart basically. Occasionally use that one if it's just there, just grab it. This is the one I use pretty much all the time. Don't really have a use for this. I mean, I know what it's for. It's for going flat to a board. They live in the big tub. They're just there, easy to grab if I need them. Yeah. This one goes in the small tub. The small tub is like the stuff I'm using the most often. Some of the screwdrivers will be in the small tub, but they're just too big. That's why they're not in there. Okay, what else do we have? Loads of pens and pencils, different coloured ones. These are useful if I'm working on boards where I want to mark a certain components come from somewhere, or a certain coloured wire goes somewhere. So I might put a mark on the wire on the cable and then a mark on the board so the colours match up. So yeah, keep some of these Sharpies in a handful of different colours. I've got a few others, but these four normally do me. If I need another one, I'll just go grab one. So they're in the big tub. Pens, pencils. These pencils, I think you've seen me using these. I only use these really to clean up circuit boards. This one's now worn out, so that may as well go in the bin. Really, don't really need that. This is the new one I've got. And I say for cleaning like contacts on DIMMs and that sort of thing, PCI cards, HEP cards. It's very good for cleaning those gold contacts up. Few pens, big tub. Okay, now Stanley knife, couple of spare blades. This gets used quite a bit, you know, very useful tools. Stanley knife, big tub. These are the only pliers I keep. One big pair of pliers and one needle nose pliers. Definitely get used. I'd probably put them in especially this one in a small tub, but it's a bit small, that tub, so they live in the big tub. Yeah. Tweezers. Whole load of tweezers here. These are quite big chunky ones, yeah, but they certainly have use. This one's like a back to front, so it's automatically grips, yeah. Those are useful things. These live in the big tub. They don't get used a lot, but the reason they don't get used a lot is because I have these. These are my good tweezers. This one's what I use a lot when I'm like replacing and removing surface mount capacitors and such. Like you say, it's getting quite burnt out now, so I've often got it in contact with the soldering iron. So this one's in the SD10. I'll order myself another couple of them now. But this one, the SD11, this is a very fine set. Again, they've obviously had some use, but they're very good. So get yourself some good tweezers. You need them, okay? ESD11's a very fine one. The ESD10's a little bit chunkier, and one like this as well. Yeah, that can be very handy. This one's a 17. Now these, I try and keep the protective ends on them at all times, apart from that one which has been used quite a bit. These go in the little tub, and this is the stuff I'm always grabbing, yeah, when I'm working. Little tub. Another one of those that kind of automatically closes. That's quite handy. Tweezer sometimes, because effectively you can get this to grip onto something, yeah, and it'll stay gripped onto it, so you don't have to hold it. You know, it'll do, yeah. That's useful. Big tub. Yeah. That's a broken screwdriver. Bit ends broke. Bin. What else do we have? Yeah, let's look at these. I mean, these are simple things. Cotton wool buds. I actually have a whole tub full of these, which I keep in some drawers behind me. These have ended up just thrown in the tub after they've been used, or they've gone tatty. So don't need to keep them in there. I keep these in a separate little tub, and when I need to put cotton wool bud, you know, that comes, you know, a few hundred in the box, I just grab them. So these can go in the bin. These are a handy little lot of tools. You get these as a set of 6. These have had a lot of use. You can see now that the wire brushes on them have become quite worn out. I ought to buy myself a new set of these. In fact, I will. I mean, they're so cheap. The ones I use mostly is this little blade, and I use this for scraping like the coating off, you know, tracks on boards if I want to get a contact to the track. Just scrape away a little bit. You'll see me using you've probably seen me using this a lot when I'm working on stuff. I use it for a whole variety of purposes. It's very sharp edges. It's like a knife edge. Again, I need to get some new ones now. I've had these for some years, but that's dead useful. This is a flat end version of the same thing. That gets a lot of use. The little crowbar. I don't think this is supposed to be a crowbar. I think you're supposed to like wedge a surface mount component in between the legs and hold it while you solder it. But I use this as like a miniature crowbar, and it gets all sorts of use. These ones are supposed to be for placing surface mount components. Don't really use that one so much. Very sharp pointed one, gets a lot of use. Other end's like a blunter end, but this sharp end gets quite a lot of use poking into holes and things. This one doesn't get so much. But anyway, those are really useful. You get a whole, just buy 6 of these. I'm going to buy some new ones. They live in the little tub, yeah. Stuff I'm using all the time. Spudgers. These are used for prizing open various things, you know, like where the plastic housing effectively is clipped together, and you have to prise them open to get them apart. I've got a few different ones, and these as well. Sometimes you get so far you can wedge one in place and then move further around. Very useful for opening up laptops and that sort of thing. So yeah, they are useful. That's a metal one. I can't say I've ever particularly needed that. I'd probably use this for mixing epoxy resin and applying it actually. The little guitar pick type thing, again, this can be quite useful when you're opening things up. So yeah, they tend, the little one tends to go in the small tub, and the others tend to go in the big tub. This one I've used so much I've actually broke one end off it and need to replace it because that end was well useful. So useful it eventually broke, yeah. So we're getting down to the end of it really. I told you it was going to be a short video, this one. This is dead useful little thing. Sometimes it's extendable mirror. Gets used for 2 things. If you're trying to see inside something to look underneath to see where some cables are going, this is very handy for that sort of work. Doesn't get used much. The other main reason this is when the wife's in the workshop and she says, "Oh, can you use your little mirror just to do my makeup?" And she sits and does a lipstick, that does her eyes and that. Big tub. This is a little pick it upper thing. I saw this and I thought, I've got to have one of them. Yeah, but I've never used it. It looks good. It looks good, but I've never actually used it. Big tub. This one's been used more, extendable again. This is a magnet. This is great for just get when you've lost a screw and it's gone down in something. It's a picker upper, yeah. It's like useless until you need it, and then when you need it, you're really glad you've got it. Big tub. My brushes. This one's the one I use for dusting off boards and such like, and this is the one I use. You've seen me do that using this when I'm cleaning flux off boards. Generally speaking, that one's in the big tub and that one's in the little tub. There's another paintbrush. I use this for applying flux to BGA. If I've rebuild a BGA, I want to fit it back on the board, or if I'm rebuilding the BGA, this is used for spread flux on the BGA or on the board. Big tub. So basically, what you have there, really, this is like my big tub of stuff, yeah, and this is my little tub of stuff. And this is the stuff that basically I'm grabbing all the time when I'm working on boards. This is more stuff I'm using when I'm taking things apart to work on, yeah, cleaning them, that sort of thing. And a few tools in here that probably ought to go in the small tub, that one. But yeah, probably should live in there. So yeah, that's basically what I keep on the bench in the way of hand tools. I have a few more things, very useful. These live across the other side of the workshop. Tiny little spanners, yeah, tiny little spanners. I think the smallest one is something like a 3mm or something like that. 4.5. I think they're from 4mm up to 10, yeah. Them are well useful to have. It wouldn't cost you a lot for a set of them. It's not like you're putting a lot of strain on them, so it's not like you need something with hardened, you know, steel. Those live in. I've got a toolbox over on the shelf, and they live in the toolbox. Also in the toolbox you find this. So this is just a set of star keys, basically. Very useful. So that's that. That must managed to jam itself in. Fortunately, I never need that big one anyway. So it's got jammed in there somehow. But yeah, that lives in my big toolbox because it's just something you need occasionally. Use it, goes back in the big toolbox. Same sort of thing for Allen keys. These are long ones, and in the toolbox I've got some more Allen keys. Again, You don't need it till you need it, and when you need it, nothing else will do the job. They will, worth having. Funny little clamp. I've often used this to, one moment. Sorry, yeah, I often use this. Sometimes I want to like hold circuit boards and things straight. Sometimes when I'm gluing things together. Worth having one or two of these in the workshop. You'll be surprised how often that gets used. But that lives in the toolbox. Get it when I need it. Over by the toolbox I then have these. So we mentioned screwdrivers. This is a magnetic one with lots of different ends, different shaped ends. That's, you know, it's got sockets in it. You want more. You need something like that. I've also got the smaller version of the same thing, basically with smaller ends on. This one's I got it from the local car boot sale for about, I think it was €5 or something. Yeah, 5. That's a handy little tool, and if you keep them all straight where they came from, then you've got a nice little legend across here that actually shows you the sizes of them. Yeah, so just keep that tidy. That's very useful. But you say it lives by the toolbox. Just a little socket set, a few ends, a couple missing off this one. That's bad for me. But I have got more of these ends in here to start with. Yeah, a little socket set. Certainly has its uses. Not very often, but again, it's like when you need it, you need it. Yeah. I mentioned the little clamp. This thing, yeah. Clean the set. Eh? I mentioned the little clamp. I have its big brother. This is a vise. So if I can move the camera over far enough, can you see? No, you can't. Yes, you can. Just about. Okay. Okay. This is a bench vise. Yeah. So you just clamp it onto the bench. I can then use this to hold. I wish I could get this camera further. No. Yeah. Just. You can use this to clamp, you know, circuit boards in vertical. Often use this if I'm actually salvaging parts off a board. I hold the board in the clamp and then take off what I want. But again, that's a useful bit of kit to have in the workshop. You'd be surprised when you need something like this. So if you can get your hands on one second hand, this lives off to one side. It's too big to fit in the toolbox, so it has its own little place where that goes. So what else do we have? That's basically all the hand tools. I mean, I have more, but I looked in the toolbox and I couldn't see anything else in there that I can remember last using. So didn't seem much point showing you stuff that I don't use. But there are two other things that I do use quite regularly. This one, you've all seen one of these. This is a Dremel. It's a genuine Dremel. And I've got various bits for this. I've got a whole box full of bits for this that's still in the UK, but with all this lockdown, I haven't been back over there now for like 16 months nearly. So it's all still there. Eventually I'll bring, I have little polishing attachments and drills, but I've got some cutting discs here, and that's what I normally use this for, is for cutting. So I do have some little drill bits as well. Funny thing with a Dremel, it's like one of these, until you've had one, you don't need it. And once you've got one, you wonder how the hell you ever lived without it, you know. Absolutely useful tool. Get yourself, if you can get one, the Dremels you pay more. If you afford a Dremel, get a Dremel, because I can't fault this, and I've had it for years now, and it's never ever let me down. But there's cheaper versions of it, you know. Depends on your budget. If I was buying another, I'd buy a Dremel. But that's because I've been so happy with it. So the Dremel, that gets used a lot, and I'm sure you'll see me using these things on the channel. Another one that gets used quite a lot is hot snot glue. Yeah, heat gun, not heat gun, sorry, heat glue, hot glue. That hot snot, call it that. I've got this and quite a few sticks of glue. This is really quite a useful thing when you're doing repair work. You'll be surprised how often this gets used as well. So that's the other thing I use a lot. And the last, I haven't used it, but I got this. I picked this up. Oh, probably a year ago or so, and it's a mini drill stand. It's probably designed for a Dremel or a drill. And the idea is you put your drill in here. This clamps it, and then you can raise it up and down. Yeah. And I bought this. I thought, you know what? I can put my hot air in there, the 858D, and it didn't fit. And I never bothered after that. Oh, it doesn't bloody fit, and that's it. I picked this up at the car boot sale again, used. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I think it was between €5 and €10. It might have been 8. It sticks to my mind. I paid about €8 for this. Anyway, I just got it back out today, and I realised that the Quick actually fits exactly in it. Yeah. The Quick fits exactly in that. And now you can move it up and down with the handle, yeah. And I thought actually that could be really well useful. Where you've seen me doing stuff where I'm holding this in the left hand and the soldering iron in the right hand, that was what I intended it for. And I think that could be really useful. It's a Stichling mini drill made in West Germany, and it's got a German sticker on it. But yeah, if you see something like that and you think your hot air will fit in it, I'd buy it. Especially if it's second hand and it's cheap, you know what I mean. It's made of cast aluminium, it's not very heavy. But yeah, anyway, that I think is a useful little bit of kit. I'm glad I've got that. One day I might even get out and use it, you know. It's also occurred to me I could get a long metal rod or even a wooden dowel in here and actually mount it a bit higher up, but I think it's okay where it is. Okay, so that's all the hand tools I've got. I'm going to switch over to the other handheld camera now and just show you a little bit around the wells I keep in the workshop, and then that'll give you a very good idea how to set your own workshop up. So I thought I'd show you how I set my workshop up as well. This gives you maybe some idea of you know, a good setup. I find this one quite ideal, to be quite honest. So this is my main workbench, yeah, as it is. Bench is 80 centimeters by 1.6 meters. So it's a fair sized bench. I find that big enough for this sort of work, not big enough for TVs, I will say. Lots of wires under there, but so yeah, so this is how I'm set up. So this is my computer I'm actually using to look up on the internet. This is the one I do the recordings on. You can also see just tucked down under here, these are two computers I use. What else do I have? I have to one side of me, so I have an audio mixer under there with headphones. That's connected to the computer, but this is useful when I'm repairing amplifiers and such. I can just connect the output from the mixer to the amplifier. There's my headset which I'm using for recording on the videos. The thing behind it is a vacuum pickup tool that I don't really particularly use, but it's there if I ever want to use it, sitting there. So this is where I keep all my test meters in a jumbo on here, yeah. You've seen these if you looked at watched the video I was talking about test equipment. And there's all my test meters. Also up here, pair of PC speakers, very useful. This is my heatsink, which you've seen me using that on GPUs. I keep that to hand. This is the one I normally use. I just balance it on top of a CPU if I'm looking at motherboards. So that's useful stuff. Just to hand, yeah. So I'm sitting. This is just right there where I want it. Dead useful to have in the workshop. Loads of USB sticks. These have got Snappy Driver installer I've shown you. It's got E2B, easy to boot, which has got various versions of Windows on. I've got Windows for UEFI BIOS booting and various things. Windows 10 to Windows 7. These get used a lot, you know, really useful things when you're working on motherboards and computers. So just keep that on one side. The microscope, you see me with this a lot, so that just extends out over the bench. Big double boom stand, so I've got a lot of room to work under here, yeah. And behind, you can see straight away, look, this is I've just shown you. small tub and big tub. Yeah, this is how my tools live, and I can get them even when the microscope's back. They're just there. That's how my stuff lives. Easy to grab right in front of me. I just grab what I want. Yeah. The quick, and on top of the quick hot air, so I keep solder, flux, solder braid. The torch, you've seen me using that when I'm looking at chip numbers. The desoldering needles are tucked back there. Various nozzles. So this is all again to hand. This is a little card you've seen me use, and I can actually pull that all the way forwards on the bench. Yeah. So the wire is long enough to easily do that with. This is where I'm plugging stuff in to test. This is my I've got lots of wires. I'm just actually doing a little job up there now, so don't worry about the wires. Normally those are tucked out the way. So this is when you hear me clicking things on and off, I'm hitting this switch here. All the soldering equipment's under there. You've seen a lot of this on the videos. So that's how I organise my bench. This monitor in front of me is the one I use when I'm testing motherboards and graphics cards. It has HDMI, DVI and VGA. It's a 1080p. You need a monitor like that. And not just the one on your PC when you're working, because you probably look up circuit diagrams and stuff. You don't want to be swapping wires. So I have that monitor sitting there purely for working on motherboards. I have the cables coming down, and the HDMI is normally in the microscope, but I can unplug that and plug it into a board. The USB off the microscope, by the way, this is the one I'm recording with. This is the one if I'm viewing on. You know, you've heard me say, oh, I'm watching to one side. Because I'm looking at this screen when I'm trying to solder, yeah? Normally, I would use this with the HDMI onto this monitor because there's no lag. With the USB, I get a slight lag. That's why now you'll often hear me say, I need to look down the microscope to work. So that's how I keep the bench. This is how I keep all my parts up here. You'll find various, this one's Zener diodes, 1/2 watt and 1 watt, various other diodes up here, switches, and this side is all connectors, all different sorts of connectors. Some are salvaged, some are new, and a few odds and ends, fuse holders, but basically that's connectors. So diodes, switches, connectors, yeah. Sorry, Zener diodes in particular. Here, all through hole resistors. All organised different values, resistor matrix, thermistors. You've seen us looking at these, preset pots, sliders, potentiometers. This side is all through hole capacitors, yeah. So again, from small value down to large value. Again, some will be new, some are just salvaged. That's through hole. So again, they're all organised. This is just gets the cable. This is where we keep the PCI, the post analyzer, the EEPROM programmer, the bits for the EEPROM programmer, the PCIe extender. So all that lives in there, yeah, all together. But this is my switch for switching motherboards on. This is my little speaker for testing. So it's all together. It's just where I want it, yeah. Let's see what else we have down here. So this is diodes, rectifier diodes, sort of like, you know, higher and higher current, up to 20 amp. These are all 7 segment, and then these are all LEDs. Again, different colours, different sizes, all LEDs. And you know, basically, that's what you'll find in these. You'll just find what you want, you know. This one is all for through-hole ICs. I need to reorganise this. It's not very good. I need to sit down and find a better way to organise that, because every time I add some new ones I have to shuffle the drawers around and reprint the labels, and it's not the way to go. So I'll find myself a better way to organise that. But that's all that, and then a few things down here. Fuses, there's fuses, coaxial power connectors. But that's basically through all ICs and a few odds and ends. What else we have? This is all the surface mount now. So this is all the surface mount resistors and capacitors, 0402 capacitors. These are kind of organised with like little plastic bags in them, so each value in the plastic bag, yeah. And it just tells you, like, you know, values from like 3.3k to 9.2 and so on. Then there you'll find all the little plastic bags. So that's the way I organise resistors and capacitor surface mount. These are for holding polymer capacitors, motherboard capacitors. I need to sort this out. I need some little plastic bags the right size to sort them out, but they're waiting, they'll be done. Transistors, you see, from number this to number that, and inside you'll find little plastic bags with all the various transistors, yeah. So that's how that's you see it better on that one. That's how that's organised. So these are all transistors, bipolar. Mosfets, I only have a few in here. I need more space for Mosfets. I'm getting a lot more now since I'm doing motherboards. I'm going to find another way to store them. I'll probably need another set of little drawers somewhere. Just LED strips, heat shrink, you know, more cables. You're surprised how many different sort of cables you need lying around the place. So that's basically how I store components. Capped on tape, crapped on tape, the stuff that's fake, various tapes. This is all basically, mainly this is glue, as you see here, and paintbrushes in that one. So it's kind of organised like this. Sticky tape. Here's a few more sticky tapes. This is where I keep flux, a bit of Vero board, all the different tubes of the heatsink compound. Little breadboard I use for sometimes when I repair it I need this. I need to lash something together to check a chip or something. You'll see me do that, I'm sure. So that's what's basically in that one. Some tools, mainly on this one, tools, odds and ends, scissors, a few more soldering iron tips, old meter probes, crocodile clip leads, odds and ends, bolts. There's the cotton wool glue. Yeah, I've got a few Arduinos in there, maybe sometimes useful. Some old heat sinks, bits of heat shrink. This is heat resistance tape. And in the bottom, once again, a whole load of old leads, test leads mainly. Again, all sorts of leads are useful. So that's how I'm organising all the components in the workshop. You see, it's not very big, it's not a lot of space. You know, I'm only taking this bit of space here, around the corner, this here, yeah, and some tools there. So that's how I'm organising that. Now, this is how I keep all my things that are waiting for repair. Each one's got a label on saying what it is, what it's waiting for. These are just on some shelves, basically. These little things, these come from IKEA. They're for filing documents, but I found them very useful for this. So yeah, that's our Voodoo card waiting to be looked at. These are the ones we've just fixed, like the ASRock, the Gigabyte. There's a good laptop. That's the GTX 280 we fixed on the video a little while back. Some things waiting for parts. Yeah, so that's how I organise that. Underneath, this is where I keep flux. This is all my reballing stuff. This is my reballing clamp, whatever you want to call that, and various stencils are here. This gets used for reballing as well. These are solder balls. So that's where I keep all that stuff together. Sprays, you know, the isopropyl, you know, all that lives together there. Yeah. A few test boards for testing. You know, you've seen me using these sometimes. And down here is some stuff waiting to come onto eBay. And there's the boards we're going to be looking at very shortly that we're on the car booty video. So that's how I'm organising this place. Probably across here, a couple metres wide, couple metres deep. You know, you could do this in a fairly small, like a box room, cupboard room, whatever you call it, supposedly a bedroom, yeah. Box room. You find them in lots of houses. A good sized shed would even do. Certainly some space in the garage. So that's how I set my workshop up, and I hope it might give you some ideas on how to set up your own. I'll be very interested if you've got any photos, you know, any links. Post them in the links underneath, and let's have a look to see how you organise your workspace. Okay, guys. See you soon.